guys, welcome back to another Limitless Math video tutorial. In today's lesson, we will be calculating x-intercepts and y-intercepts from an equation and graphing. So let's go ahead and get right into it. In this video lesson, we will be calculating x and y-intercepts from both an equation and from a table. So looking at the first example, in the red box, negative 5x plus 4y equals 20. We want to calculate the x-intercept and the y-intercept. First, let's recap what intercepts are. Intercepts are the place where a graph crosses the x-axis or the y-axis. So an x-intercept is the place where a graph crosses the x-axis, and the y-intercept is the place where a graph crosses the y-axis. And that's pretty straightforward. However, we also need to get into the numbers for it. The place where we would cross the x-axis is the same place where y is equal to 0. You kind of think about the coordinate plane. The x-axis goes through y equals 0. So any place or any graph that's crossing the x-axis has to be going where y is equal to 0 in order to be an intercept. And the same thing happens in reverse for y-intercepts. Okay, y-intercepts are crossing the y-axis, and that's going to be where x is 0. So just know it's always when the opposite is 0. X-intercept, y is 0. Y-intercept, x is 0. Okay, so let's solve this first one for the x-intercept. We know then that the y has to equal 0. We will substitute that into the equation and solve. Negative 5x plus 4, instead of y, we do 0, equals 20. 4 times 0 is 0, and we don't need to write that down, so we're highly skilled. So really this equation becomes negative 5x equals 20. Solving for x by dividing by negative 5 on both sides, we see that x is negative 4. So we need to write this as an intercept. An intercept is a point. So we would write it as an ordered pair, negative 4, comma, 0. That's the x-intercept. Now when we get ready to do the y-intercept, the same thing applies, just the opposite. This time the x will be equal to 0. And we substitute into the equation and solve. Negative 5, instead of x, we do 0, plus 4y equals 20. So this goes away, it turns into a 0. We won't waste our time writing it because we're highly skilled. Then 4y equals 20. Dividing both sides by 4, y is 5. But of course, we need to write this the way that we should, which would be 0, 5 as the y-intercept. And that is how you calculate x-intercept and y-intercept from an equation. You might be asked at times to graph the equation now that you have calculated these two intercepts. And that's very simple. What we would do is plot the 2 points, because all we need are 2 points to create a line. You plot the x-intercept and the y-intercept and simply connect them. And that will give you your line or your graph of this linear equation. For the next example, we're going to calculate the intercepts from a table. Let's look at the blue box. We have a table here. XY charts, giving us a list of several points. When we're given a table, we have a little bit more work to do. The first thing you want to do is check and see, do you have the intercepts in the table already? We want to work smarter, not harder. So we don't want to waste our time doing anything that's already been done for us. So you always want to check the table to see, did they give you any intercepts up front? The dead giveaway that you've been given an intercept is to look for a 0. If you have a 0 in the X, you are given the Y-intercept. If you have a 0 in the Y, you are given an X-intercept. So we can see here, we have a 0 in the Y. So we actually have an X-intercept already given. So that's a good thing to always check for. But whether you have any or not, you still need to go on to step 2, which is to calculate the slope. We'll pick any 2 points you want. But of course, since there's an intercept already there, why not use it? But you can pick any 2 points you want to calculate the slope with. I'm going to use 1, 2, and 2, 0. From here, you do need to memorize your slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and you will substitute in 0 minus 2, 2 minus 1. This is just calculating the slope. We end up with negative 2 over 1, so the slope is negative 2. M is negative 2, because we know M is like the universal variable for slope. Once you've calculated the slope, we need to create the equation. So just like there was an equation here, we need to create one as well. It doesn't have to be in standard form. You can use any format that is convenient for you. So we could use standard form, slope-intercept form, point-slope form. It makes a lot of sense in this case, since we have the slope and several points to choose from, but not the y-intercept, that we should use the point-slope form because it's the most conducive one. You can use whichever one you want, but it's going to be the easiest for us in this case. So point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. We're substituting in, of course, the slope and any other point we want to use. Of course, I like to use the intercept because it has at least 1 0, and that's really good for us to use. So y minus 0 equals m was negative 2, and x is 2 from my point. Excuse me. X I leave as x, oh goodness, let me undo that. When we're doing point slope, x stays x. We're plugging in only for y1 and x1. I apologize. So this is what we get. Y minus 0 equals negative 2 times x minus 2. This is the equation. You can leave it like this, or you can convert it into a different format if you want to. But this is actually good enough. At this point, you're at your last step. We need to figure out the y-intercept. Remember above, the y-intercept is when x is 0. So in this equation that we just wrote, we need to substitute 0 in for x. I'm running out of room here, so I'm going to erase what we had in the green box. Just getting my equation over, writing it over up top again, just keep everything neat. Substituting 0 in for x so that I can calculate the y-intercept. So y minus 0 equals negative 2 times 0 minus 2. And we simply solve this for y. Y minus 0 is y. Negative 2 times 0 minus 2 is negative 2. So y is 4. So the x-intercept is 0, 4, because remember, the y-intercept is always where x was 0. And then the x-intercept was already given 2, 0. So that is how you calculate intercepts, x and y, intercepts from both an equation and from a table. Hope this was helpful, guys. Please, if you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. Definitely subscribe. We are trying to make it to 1,000 before the end of 2020. See you in the next one.